Wow, Muyiwa.
Hello.
I just want to welcome you to VOX Collective.
Thank
you know, this is unusual. I want you guys to understand that Muyiwa I've known for many years. He's my friend and we've done so many things together. But he's normally on the other side, being a broadcaster and so many different things. But we want to welcome you to VOX Collective. Now, for the listeners and the people who are viewing this, I want them to know who you are. So tell us who you are.
So, who am I? I guess I probably want to do the corny Christian thing. I'm a citizen of heaven, having an earthly experience in the bodysuit of an African boy who's from Nigeria, and the guardians that I was entrusted to, Shola Olatunde Olariwaju and Kayode Karimo Olariwaju, decided that my label on this earth would be Oluwalomoleyo Adebayo Olariwaju Sholomorintin Jogunla. And
I love this. Come on now. Come on now. And it means?
Oluwalomoleyo means God has brought this one. Adebayo, crown is met with joy. Olariwaju is just the family name. Is progressive God, progressive honor, progressive wealth. And then in my culture, we have something called Oriki, which is where when the child is born, the elders will meet and they would receive what they believe the child is and is going to be, what we might call prophetic.
Absolutely.
And mine was Ishola Omorintunjogunla, which means our insurance for tomorrow, the son of an elephant who inherits great wealth. And I usually say that's why I struggle with my weight, you know. I'm the son of an elephant.
The son of an elephant. I like the wealth bit. You know?
Yeah.
You know, Muyiwa, I mean, you know, I've heard you quote your name, and I think that it's so amazing, because one of the things that I almost feel jealous, because my name's Noel, right? And I wasn't even born at Christmas, right? So I don't know if maybe mom and dad had me in mind, you know, because my birthday's around October. So I don't know if I'm a premature or what, you know. But man, it's really exciting to have you, because you are what we would call a legend within the British Christian music scene, and although you wear so many different hats, for me, as a worship leader, you have influenced so many things, you know. So where did your Christian faith start? You becoming a believer, when did that happen?
My Christian faith really started at home with my parents. I grew up in the Church of England tradition, and every African has some sort of story of God, you know. But thankfully, after a while, we have a revelation of Christ and salvation. But my mother was the choir mistress in her church, St. Peter's. My father was a Muslim who was introduced to Christ by my mother.
Wow.
So there was Bible reading. There was, I mean, the Christian faith was at the heart of our home. But for me, I was sent back to this country at the age of 9, back from Nigeria, and then I hit a turbulent spot in life.
Yeah.
And a lot of African kids would understand this. Those who are familiar with the story of the fashion news, John and his brother Justin, you get sent, and then you're kept with foster parents, and that marred a whole generation. And that was some of my experience. I was sent back here. I lived with all sorts of uncles who, for them, I was surplus to their requirements.
So I mean, what that's just like. We're seeing the story of your beginnings there, you know, spiritual roots, Christian roots, you know, and you know, I think it was after that I came into acquaintance with you, because one day I walked into my office and there was a CD being played, and this CD, I went, who is that? That's absolutely amazing. Honestly, it really touched me. And so when did your musical journey start? Because you know, I heard lots of different things, but we're going to hear it from you. What's...
So really, again, that started with my family. My mother was a singer. My mother was a radio broadcaster, which is fascinating now. It's interesting that, because I never intended on going to radio broadcasting. That I am now. But my mother was a radio broadcaster and a singer. And so there was music in the house. My father couldn't sing to save his life. So my sisters, I have 2 older sisters, actually the best singer in our family, doesn't sing at all.
Wow.
She's one of the brainiest girls I've ever met. But so we would sit at night and we would sing, we would make songs. I was writing songs from the age of 5, 6, but the songs were always about food. I mean, little wonder, I was a son of an elephant, so we would harmonize, and that's where it started for me. In terms of where we're at now, it was really being in church. I mean, you talk about our journeys intersecting. It was a lot longer after I'd come back to this country. I ended up in a church, in a church called the Apostolic Church. That was where I bumped into Pentecostalism.
Right.
Les Isaacs of Street Pastors was my pastor, and a chap called David Shusha and others, and Michael Royal, who's now a bishop. We're all in the same church, and that's where I found this knowledge of Christ. But I remember I had a lot of anger pent up. I wasn't a street kid. I was a middle class boy who went to private schools all my life, and then I came to this country, and I was faced with the realities of living at the bottom, and there was a lot of pain, a lot of disillusionment, and I carried that as a ball of anger into the church, and I always wanted to fight people in the church. And there was one brother who's an older brother of mine, David Shoshaya, who picked it up one day, and before I was about to rush this guy, he just grabbed me and carried me with one hand outside.
Wow.
And thereafter, I was introduced to the saving knowledge of Jesus, and it just, the chains began to fall. It took a long time.
One of the things I want to ask you is about what is the thing that you're passionate about? What is Muyiwa passionate about?
Man, I'm passionate about young people. I'm passionate about broken people. I mean, we're all passionate about broken people, but I'm passionate about injustice. I'm passionate about equity being done. So you'd find I remember when I was at school, when I did get back to school in Archbishop Tennyson's grammar school, I remember every time there was a fight, I would jump in and be parting people. And I remember a friend of mine, my only friend then, Tony Kirby, this little white kid, I remember one day he said to me, what's wrong with you? Are you like the son of God or something? Now, he wasn't a Christian, and he doesn't realize how biblical and to a degree, I suppose, prophetic his words were.
Totally,
because blessed are the peacemakers, because they're called the sons
of God. Yeah.
So we're in the playground as 13-year-olds. What's wrong with you? Are you son of God or something? So those are some of the things that I'm passionate about. I'm passionate about being us being proud of who we are. God made no mistakes.
Absolutely.
Dropping me in Africa. He made no mistakes dropping Mr. Smith or Bob Dylan in Kensington.
Right.
He made no mistakes dropping your
Noel
father
Robertson,
in
right,
So I'm passionate about us owning the identity God has given us and being truthful about it.
If there was one thing that along your journey of life, has there been an encounter that you've had that has, I've been using this word, stained you? And I know you understand mango on a shirt that can't be washed out and jackfruit or whatever, but has there been a moment that you could just this change you and you'll change forever?
There are many stains, and if we all be honest, man, woman, rich, poor, there are many stains. That's why the blood of Jesus is necessary. So the songwriter says, what can wash away my stain? Nothing but the blood of Jesus, because a stain is anything that blurs the picture, that blurs the correct view of it. And there have been many things that blurred. And the interesting thing for me is it started very early, like a lot of us. And our preachers will say, the enemy knows your future, so he wants to attack you and kill you and da-da-da-da-da. One of the things that stained me wasn't even by outsiders, it was by those who loved me. Because I had two older sisters who were certified geniuses. Not that we thought they were smart. They were measured and they were found to be up there. My older sister went to university at age of 15. The second one went to Tunbridge Wells when she was 16. Then I came along. Now, in my culture, the first son is the right hand of strength. The first son is the one that would carry on the name. This is the man. My mother had had an experience with God where she wanted a boy, and she'd prayed to God, and she'd been told in a vision that she was going to she was being handed a son. She was going to grab him, and the hand took him back and said, if you give him back, you can have him. And she said, yes. So she gives me, and then her and my dad get happy, and, you know, she gets pregnant, as people do when they get happy.
Happiness, right? Well, way to describe it, yeah, happiness.
So my mother prays. You know, she has the son. As she promised, I get taken to a revival center, and I'm prayed for. And she had made a deal with God that, you know. And now imagine you have a promise from God that He's given you this son. So you have all the imagery in your mind.
Yeah,
my
totally,
Samuel, my this,
yeah,
my that.
that's right.
Then I go to school, and compared to my sisters, I was dull as a brush. And now, in my culture and where I'm coming from, this was not where we're at now, where we understand neuroassociation, you know, neuroplasticity, and the fact that the brain is growing all the time, even when you're 90. They just said, this boy's dull. This boy's not like his sisters. And they spoke those things over my life again and again and again. And those broke me. I believed I was daft. I believed I couldn't read.
And you know, Muyiwa, this articulation you have about your past and the detail of your past, it's so profound because it comes out in your ministry, knowing that the people that you minister to have had experiences. And this song, you're in on a songwriter. I don't know how many albums you got. I think you got about is it about 8 or 9?
Yeah, eight albums.
Eight albums, amazing albums. You know, you've sold out O2, you've sold out Hammersmith, you've sold out some amazing venues, and we've been at those concerts supporting you, and they've been a blessing. But this song that you wrote the other day that we've been listening to, every time I hear that song, it speaks to me. And it's called A Long
Way.
A Long Way.
Yeah.
And I want you just to tell us why you wrote that song.
Yeah, I mean, the long way, the lyrics say, through the storms of our lives, you sheltered us, you gave us hope, you carried us on your wings and brought us all the way. Just reflecting on my journey, reflecting on the fact that there have been many tragedies on the way. There have been many times we could have lost, and we should have lost our minds. Our economy was decimated. People spoke about us. People said, not just our families, but people in the community looked at us and said, we'll be nothing. But to be from there, from a child who's, like the American preachers will say, broke, busted, and disgusted, to sitting with heads of states. I mean, and I looked at that, and then I looked at people around me. I looked at friends of mine who were preachers who had gone through divorce, but thank God what they said about them didn't transpire. Friends who had lost children, friends who and I just saw again and again, even those who lost loved ones who were heartbroken, they didn't lose their minds.
Wow.
And
That's
I
so
thought,
powerful.
You know, this God, He's brought us a long way, and He will take us all the way. It just happens that now we hit the lockdown, and Joe Metal, who sings on the song with me, he calls from Ghana at the very beginning of the lockdown. He said, listen, this song is a song for now. You should get all the artists you know together. Let's all sing this song together. But, you know, it just wasn't my thing.
Well, the truth is, I heard you every day while the pandemic was going on. Your voice was echoing across London and, well, actually the whole country. Every day we heard you. So we know that you were up to something else, you know. But Muyiwa, I just want to say thank you. It's honoured that you could be with me today at VOX Collective. And your heart is big.
Thank you. And I've got to say, no, I know it's your show, but I have to say thank you, because that first album you talk about, before you even knew who I was, the person who was in charge of the radio station, music on the radio station that I now run, he wouldn't even play the CD, but you heard the CD and then you thought, who is this? You send an envelope full of money to someone you didn't know. And this is, this 15 years ago. Wow. So I'm grateful that you would see in some of us something of the future and believe in us. So I'm so grateful. Thank you.
And this is why I am so blessed to see growth in all of us and how we've grown together to make a mark. But you know what? Again, really thank you for joining me today. And I want you to get yourself ready because you are in for a real treat, people. This man of God is so anointed. And I know we use that word, but I'm telling you, his experiences qualify him. You know, so I want you to get yourself ready, Muyiwa, and sing us out because, wow, you're going to be blessed. Thank you all at home for joining me on VOX Collective, the place where prophetic voices are released. It has been a pleasure and an honor to worship with you all at home. I pray God blesses you and he keeps you. You know, Muyiwa will be playing us out with his song, A Long Way.